पार उतारे। गोविंद नाम लेकर, गोपाल नाम लेकर, मेरे प्राण तन से निकले। जब प्राण तन से निकले, इतना तो करना स्वामी, इतना तो करना स्वामी। जब प्राण तन से निकले, मेरे प्राण तन से निकले। गोविंद नाम लेकर, गोपाल नाम लेकर, मेरी जान तन से निकले। जब प्राण तन से निकले, चाहे गंगा जी का तट हो, चाहे कालिंदी का वट हो, मेरा सांवरा निकट हो, मेरा सांवरा निकट हो। जब प्राण तन से निकले, मेरे प्राण तन से निकले। चाहे वृंदावन का स्थल हो, मेरे मुख में तुलसी जल हो, विष्णु चरण का जल हो, विष्णु चरण का जल हो। जब प्राण तन से निकले, मेरे प्राण तन से निकले। मेरे प्राण निकले सुख से, तेरा नाम निकले मुख से। बच जाऊं घोर दुख से, जब प्राण तन से निकले। मेरे प्राण तन से निकले। आना जरूर आना, आना जरूर आना, राधे को साथ लाना, राधे को साथ लाना। मुरली की धुन सुनाना, मुरली की धुन सुनाना। जब प्राण तन से निकले, मेरे प्राण तन से निकले। मेरी नेक सी अरज है, मानो तो क्या हरज है। कुछ आपका फर्ज है। जब प्राण तन से निकले, मेरे प्राण तन से निकले। इतना तो करना स्वामी, इतना तो करना स्वामी। जब प्राण तन से निकले, मेरे प्राण तन से निकले। गोविंद नाम लेकर, गोपाल नाम लेकर, मेरे प्राण तन से निकले। जब प्राण तन से निकले। धन्यवाद।
It was very
Thank
wonderful,
you.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And one question I want to ask, sir.
Yes.
In this Bhakti Yoga,
Yeah.
we have got Samipya, Sarupya, Salokya, and Sahijya, 4 steps.
Yes.
And how to do that Sarupya, I'm not able to understand it. That's difficult, I think.
Well, yeah. Only the way that only the thing that comes in the way of Sarupya is our ego.
Yeah.
And the moment that means to say the last trace of ego is not there, then it is him alone. That's what. Then it becomes Sarupya.
Okay.
And
But that Meera was enacting just like Krishna wearing the dresses and everything.
right.
I thought that might be the case.
What is that? That's why?
Meera was wearing just like Krishna, and she was telling, I am Krishna and everything.
Yes.
Stories.
At one point of time, yeah. Until the last step, they enjoy the being in the presence of Krishna. That's why there is another similar kind of a bhajan where he says that, very beautifully said that, I don't want all this Advaita, etc., Sarupya kind of a thing. I would like to be in a small little, even like a dog in the streets of Vrindavan, so that I will be with Krishna all the time, moving around. And the idea is that why she said dog means basically that there is no ego involved in that. Human being bhakta means ego involved in that. So that little ego, with that I will be there serving you. That I feel keeping that interaction of serving is being with around is seem to be much more pleasant than being in the state of Advaita. That is the idea she says. So, in that sense, so Krishna, that is what Meera was hovering between these two different stages. One stage is the stage where she is identified with Krishna. Another stage is the stage where only Krishna is there and then she is there as a bhakta. That's the only thing. So there is a sweetness in that. Many times people say that Advaita, it is very dry. Advaita has the fun in that. So you lose that fun aspect of it the moment you think of Advaita. A lot of Advaitans are supposed to be traditionally also very dry people, is the way that it is often recognized as. So that is the. So Sarupya, once you become that, then there is no question of Dvaita at all. It's only Advaita. But having a feeling that his presence, we are there in his presence, it's a very big gain, very great gain. And also it is supposed to be something, if you are always feeling it, whatever that you are doing, you're always in his presence, then that's a very sweet experience, nice, wonderful experience. Let's be with that experience as long as we're in this world. Let's not jump into the idea of becoming Sarupya. Sarupya, he says that whether it's not my choice, but let it be his choice, and he wants, he make me Sarupya. That's the way we look at it. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Actually, now we are at that point where Krishna is taking us from that state of Advaita to the level of Bhakti. And that's what he prepares ground for giving us the idea of Krishna's extraordinary vision. And then 11th through 12th chapter, then it transcends into Bhakti. So that's why we are at the culmination of the 9th chapter where he brings about this idea. So let's go to the 20th sutra. Trividya mam sopavaha putapapaha yajnairishtaha swargatim prarthayante te punya masadya surendra lokam ashnute divyan divideva bhogan. Is talking about our culture, which is recorded in all these Vedas. Vedas have three different components. Normally, people say two components, but then there are three. The first component is all about the karma kanda, about this society outside and how you organize those things, and where all various activities are also involved in that. That's what is the karma kanda. The second thing is about brahmanas, and third is the Upanishad. Upanishad is supposed to be the highest, and second one is the brahmana, where there's all these ritualistic mantras and all that, they are taken from the brahmanas, like what we have done in the Dakshinamurti Puja and all that. These are all the things, mantras, which are taken from the brahmanas. Very often what happens is that there is a shift from brahmana to Upanishad to these things which are like they are bordering that way. So what happens is that these are basically done with the sake of a desire, but then these are the things which, when you follow the recorded idea of Vedas, Trividya, what happens is that please understand this. There is, before that, there is what people do it because of their own weaknesses. All the activities are done by the weaknesses towards the sensory objects, towards their own senses. These are not described in the Vedas. They are the ways that they are apology. That is the way that the people go. From that, when we come to the idea of Vedas, try to follow some discipline ritual, and all the rituals, discipline that are given in the form of Vedas. So that means to say, even the worldly activities that you are doing, like making money, running various institutions, organizations, and running the whole thing, that's what all these Vedas talk about. Even these things are done now. By the time that you come, already that you have disciplined yourself from the level of pulls of the object outside and the sensory organ. But then here, you still desire to enjoy, desire to be in the heaven, desire to experience the joy world outside is not yet gone. See, that clarity that we must have it. That is to say, that who perform the actions and some interested motive lay down on these three Vedas, and then there are all these practices that are there, and we take the prasada, tirtha, and all those things, and then drink the soma plant. That is somapaha, putapapaha. The somapa, it's a plant elixir. It's not like the way that what we often people translate the soma to be the liquor. It's not a question of liquor. Liquor may be a product of plant, but then liquor is supposed to be what is fermented aspect of it. The moment that fermentation takes place, then its natural quality that it loses and then requires, like the qualities which can really take you away from your consciousness. So that's what is the getting lost into the world outside. He is not talking about that. Somapaha is something which is the natural kind of substances which are there in the plants and which can really give you a nice, wonderful feeling. So, an experience which beyond the normal kind of an experience that you can have. This is what is basically the way the soma plant or the soma rasa. This is what is there in, they call it as in heaven. And actually, this soma rasa, that one, the other one, what they call it as the liquor, is the one which takes you towards the sin. In fact, many people, when they are not in a position to do certain very kind of sins which their mind does not agree, is not prepared to do that. And if they want to do that sin, they take the liquor. You understand that, when they take the liquor, in that they can do it. Murder, they has to do it. People who are taken into uh, engaged for murdering, it's a hard work. It's a bad job that he is supposed to, and then he is not in a prepared to do it. So then what happens is that he is given nice, wonderful liquor, and then all that scotch, whiskey, this, that, high, expensive kind of things. Under that influence, that he will do it. He can do all that kind of things which are supposed to be bad acts. What happens is, under the influence of that, the doer is completely dissolved, is eliminated. Therefore, he can do that bad, evil activities. So that's what, including actually the people who are doing execution, they used to drink, and after that they would do the execution, because that killing somebody is something which is sad. Excepting that recently that I was listening to one of the interviews of the executioner who did the execution of these people who are there in the, that Nirbhaya case, and they have to be eliminated. He was saying that I'm convinced that I can do the execution where it is supposed to be for the good cause, eliminating really the bad elements in that. So therefore, he said that for me, I did not require any of those things. I don't require. I do only this kind of job. That also that people know it. So therefore, the Somapaha is the one which has, it takes you out of sins. It's not which pushes you into the sin, but it makes you feel comfortable that you can forget aside that all that what is sin that you have done, and you can smother it, and then you can raise above that. So Somapaha and Putapapaha, that means to say the papas have been purged and then came out of it. So Yajnairishtaha, then Swargatim Prarthayante. These are the people who want heavenly pleasures, heavenly joy, and then they get the Swarga. They Punya Masadya. So by gaining the Punya, that Surendra Lokam Ashrayanti. That means to say they go to the Swarga Loka. Now here, what we need to understand is, especially somewhere that there is Swarga, especially there is somewhere Swarga, it is not like that the way Indian concept is. Here itself is Swarga, here itself is Naraka. So that means to say the heaven and hell, they are here only. Only thing is your own experience is the one which is something like Swarga and something like Naraka, something like heaven, something like hell. You go through this number of sufferings, you go through the number of disturbances that are there. And more important thing is your psychology does not agree with that. So this kind of a thing, when it is there, it's supposed to be the hell. Day in and day out, you come across that, you are sensitive, but at the same time that you come across a situation where your sensitivity will not permit it. So you have a lot of internal fight that's going on. This is what is supposed to be the hell. And then here itself is the heaven. That means somehow things are falling in place, everything is working out all right, and you feel comfortable with that. This is what is Swarga. But then there is one thing that you know in this world, however much that things are very nice, going on, very beautiful, you slowly get used to it. And that becomes like your after a while that it becomes stale. So therefore, whatever that punya that you gain, then it has only for all the people that are there around are supposed to be Surendra Lokam Ashrayanti. Divyan Divideva Bhogan. Yes, it's heavenly, it's extraordinary, it is a wonderful thing, and that's what you get into by doing all those things which are supposed to be rituals. So we have all the rituals, and the rituals has the purpose of getting happiness in this world, and that may be in so many different ways that we can express. Each one has his own way. One way is that I pass the exam, one way is that my court cases will solve. All these things are good. Particularly people go to various pilgrim centers to see that they ask for these. So there are these forces that are there in the nature which can help you to see that you guide in that direction. In fact, the whole idea is that way, that like these various forces which are working in the nature are supposed to be those people who have this kind of a good intention, and then they have left the body, that they have not yet taken the next body, but then they're still here. And then wherever such kind of a good activity is there, they try to help it. And we also feel that way, that suddenly helps come from somewhere when you have a very good intention, without even your knowledge, without even your planning and scheming. It looks like that God sent some help for you. So that is why we have this idea of God sent. God sent a person to help us. Just to share one small little experience, that I was in England, and I was planned to go to Germany, and everything, tickets were booked and everything, planned activities in Germany. But the last day, that was on the Friday, when I contacted the German embassy in consulate in England, they said, we'll give you the visa on Monday morning. And the time that they would like to give the Monday morning visa was after the flight leaves. I don't know what logic that they had to give me a visa after my flight leaves. I said, can you not give it on Friday evening, because Saturday, Sunday being holiday? No, we don't have provision, we can do that. So at that point of time, I said, okay, I just gave it up. I said, there's no point, because once visa is not there, nothing will proceed further. So I was giving a talk in some company group, and then there was one lady who organized all that. She was a very sweet, nice lady. Her husband, he came to that function just to pick her up and take her home. He was not even interested in Vedanta, yoga, or particularly my talk. He was never he never heard, therefore he was not interested. But unfortunately or fortunately, he came a little early. So therefore, what he has to do is that he waited in my class. Last 15 minutes, he heard my talk. And that 15 minutes talk impressed him so much. That seemed to be like that. And then at the end of the program, the lady announced that, you see, you heard Raghuram, such wonderful talk. So simple ideas and all that. So now tomorrow he is going to Germany. Monday he is going to Germany, and then he has series of talks in Germany. So like that, she said, immediately I told her that, look, I'm not going to Germany. My German trip is cancelled. Then her husband, he said, what did you say? Your German trip is cancelled? I said, what is the problem? I said, my flight is leaving. It's a British Airways flight is leaving early morning, or morning somewhere around 9 o'clock. But my visa office opens only at 10 o'clock, and I get the visa by 11, 12 o'clock. So therefore, there is no point in planning for that. I just plan to go to the visa office, collect my visa, because I need a passport. Then he said, come with me. So I went with him. And then he said, tomorrow, Monday, you are going like this. You take my car. Monday, you go and collect visa and then come back. Tell your friend that you are coming by Monday evening. Rather than morning flight, you are coming by the evening flight. Tell him that if you go in the morning flight, then he will have to leave his work and come for picking me up. So for his convenience, I shifted the flight in the evening. I said, what happened? How can I do all these things? And this is something which, believe it or not, I phoned like that because he said like that. Morning, his car came, took me to the embassy, because searching for embassy and all in Germany, in London, was a hassle for me. But then he provided all that. Came everything, and then he gave me a ticket. I said, how did it happen? He said he's a regular customer and he's also partner for this British Airways. So therefore, that he requested British Airways to cancel the ticket, which is supposed to be non-refundable, non-changeable kind of a ticket, and gave the evening ticket. How can you expect that somebody will come and help me? So this is the way he says that Punyamasadya Surendra Lokam Ashnanti Divyan Divideva Bhogan. Yes, somehow helps comes, and then you can see that you're taken care of. Provided, I said, provided it is Traivedamam Sopapa Yajnairishtaha. That means to say, it is having the God's work, and at the same time, it is in the form of the Vedic, uh, within the Vedic framework that we are doing it. That's a very important thing. Tetam bhaktya swargalokam vishalam, please have it. Kshene punye martyalokam vishanti. So, now, this swargaloka, that means to say the joy that you get or the comfort that you find here in this world. As I said, that over a period of time, you get used to it. That is no more a comfort. It is like normal way of life. So therefore, what happens is slowly, steadily, that the kshine punye martyalokam vishanti. Then all this comfort, all this extraordinary kind of a thing, it slowly reduces its utility, its impact. And then you become as if you are in the ordinary human being, human life. Like anybody else, you are there. So, Martyalokam Vishanti, that means having enjoyed the extensive heavenly world, they return to the world of the mortals. That means to say, experience will be a mortal experience, and the stock of their merits being exhausted. Exhausted in the form of either that you get habituated it, or after a while that you don't have that kind of a thing. So it comes to the level where you can only exist with that, and thus devoted to the rituals of interested motive. Evam Traidharma Manu Prapannaha Gatagatam Kama Kama Labhante. As a means of attaining recommended by the three Vedas, as a means of attaining heavenly bliss, seeking worldly enjoyment, they repeatedly come and go. So every time that he come to the human level, again the virtues are there, and the virtues that he accrues, he goes to the heavenly experience, Swarga experience, and the all that, and then comes back to the normal human level. We always see that this is happening. Suddenly, that one point of time comes that you see that things are very luxurious, very happy, very nice. But then over a period of time, you get used to it. And what all supposed to be the luxury, what all supposed to be the extraordinary. If you look back, they were something like that years ago, but today they became normal, easy for us. However rich may be, however great a person may be, however extraordinary that a person conducts his virtues, that is punya, that he gains. And punya is equated to the comfort, is equated to the joy of life, and definitely that's going to diminish to come back to, then you come back to the simple normal level. So ascending to the heaven by virtue of their merits and return to earth when their fruits have been enjoyed, this is a cycle we go through. It may be a small little simple cycle or a bigger cycle, a larger cycle that we go through. Shastriji always used to give a very simple example for that. The joy that the world can give often is compared to, like you have an abscess and something is there which is itching you, and then you scratch it. First of all, the itch itself is something which was not there, normal. But then it starts itching, then you scratch it. When you scratch it, you get such a great joy out of it. Wonderful. But then scratching will increase that itch more, and then again you scratch. So it is like that you are caught up in this particular cycle. So how long that will continue? It will continue for eternity. That's what it says. At the time when you leave this body, you carry those things to the next life, and then again that continues, this itching and scratching. Again in the next life it continues. Like that. This is what is basically pralaya. This is in the pralaya, all those things are there. You can never avoid, you can never come out of this particular aspect of it unless until you take a jump, leap out of it. And what is that leap that you get? So, tetam bhaktya sargalokam vishalam kine punye martyalokam vishanti evam trai dharma manu prapannaha Gata gatam kama kama labhante. Whatever that you desire, you ask for. Yes, you get it. You are good, you are capable. But then some people are there who realize early. Some people are there who immediately recognize that, say that, what is that? This one cycle that I go through, it looks like that this can continue all the time. There is reason for me to get out of it as early as possible. These are the wise people. That wisdom does not depend upon how much that you experience or how much that you have. We don't know. It's the grace of God. That's where we say that His grace is the thing which will take us beyond that. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaha paryupasate tesham nityabhyuktana yogakshemam vahamyaham. This particular shloka is one of the very important shlokas in Bhagavad Gita. Ananyas chintayanto mam. A devotee who, however, he is loving, no one else constantly uh, think of me. He only thinks of me. Ananyas chantayanto mam ye janaha paryupasate. Worship me in the disinterested spirit to those ever united in thought with me. Tesham nitya abhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. I bring full yoga and kshema. These two things I will bring about. See, this is where one of the shlokas where when Krishna is talking, he's not talking like the Sri Krishna, the son of Vasu or the Vasudeva and all that, but he is somebody who's talking about the overlord, the Lord which is beyond all the desires, beyond all the pairs of opposite. Very difficult to go to the pairs of opposite. Somehow or the other, we get caught up in good and bad, right and wrong. These pairs of opposite is there. That's where ultimate pairs of opposite is Swarga Naraka, the heaven and hell, or the Sukha Dukkha, that means to say happiness and sorrow. These are the things that we get caught up into. That's what is the ultimate pair of opposite that we have. So, when can we reach that state is that you think of, and all these practices which you say that Triveda, when he says Trivedaha mam sopamaha, when he says that Trivedaha, all these things about the creator, the God that is there, from him all these things have come. That's what is the aim of all the Vedas. That's why they say the whole purpose of this culture is to go to that, which is the basis of this creation, which call it as consciousness or God or that supreme being that is there. And once you reach that supreme being, this is what that supreme being, he calls it as Mam. That Krishna is that supreme being, Mam Ananyaha. There is no Anyatva being there. He is not somebody different, and you are that. Anyatva means basically that the difference is there, the separating is there. The moment that that separation is there, difference is there. At once that you are interacting with that, whatever it is there, for the sake of some benefit or the other. So that we get caught up in that. Very difficult to do anything for the sake of doing that without idea of gaining anything. We always have the idea of gaining something or the other. That's why in all the rituals that they do, you go to the puja, you go to anything, they say that phalashruti. That means what is that fruit out of it. So this is the level where there is no question about phalashruti. And very easily people say that. In fact, they have all that surrender aspect and all those things very deeply that is there. They are humble, but then humbleness also they bring about. Say it is by the grace of God I got these things. It's by the grace of the God things have worked out. It is by the grace of the God, just like on that example also, by the grace of God that I could go to Germany. But by the grace of the God, I could not go to Germany. Even that's also fine. Can I be beyond these two things? Whether I go, that means to say, I don't go to God for the grace of God. We always go to the God, not because that the God is there, feel that we feel the God, but because God can bestow the grace. You are living because of God, you die because of God. Such a person who takes that, the death is also because of God. Then he doesn't have to think of anything for the sake of God, accepting that just him, just God. So ananyashchantayanto mam. Why does anya? Anya is this, that if I have a desire, if I go to the God for the sake of avoiding something bad and getting something good, that means to say that is anya. That becomes more important than the God. Because for me, the very fact that I have thought of God is somebody who can do good things, nice things for me, or at least for me, not others. So he eliminates bad, provides good for everybody. This is what everybody's thought. So, but as Krishna puts, that there is nothing like good and bad separate. In his eyes, there is nothing like good and bad. Birth and death, they are not two separate things. They're all the same thing. In fact, because the birth is there, therefore the death is there. You say that only birth will be there, no death should be there. How horrible the world would be. Death is a great gift of God for us. So, anyatva is that means to say, I have selected I did not select the other. I chose the day, I did not choose the night. I chose the comfort, I did not choose the suffering. So I have anyatva there being ananyas chintayanto mam. That means to say there is no question of there's no question of other. In my psychology, in my mind, there's nothing like this is good, this is bad. This is comfort, this is discomfort. Nothing of those that sort. Chintayanto mam ye janaha paryupasate. Paryupasate, it's a very beautiful way of saying that. That means to say, I always be sadhana is I do something to achieve, whereas upasana is being with him. And just being with him, it's like the way that the child holds the parent's hand, whatever the parent does for the child, it's absolutely no issue at all, no problem at all. Ramakrishna Paramasa used to give that upasana is being close to the God, surrender to him, absolutely. Ramakrishna used to say that there are two ways to surrender. One way is the way that the little monkey surrenders to the mother monkey. You know how the little monkey holding on to the mother monkey from the belly. Then monkey will be jumping from trees to tree, branch to branch, fighting with some other monkeys, or rushing to get some fruits on the tree. All those things happen. But the moment that mother monkey settles down, immediately child monkey comes sits next to her, and then they'll keep playing. But the moment that the mother has to run, again the child monkey holds on to the mother. Wherever mother monkey goes, the file for the child, nothing happens, no problem at all. This is one way. Idea is that you cling on to the God. Whatever might happen, you cling on to the God. You just think of him. Say, yeah, success is also the failure to there. Small little simple things. You attempt something, it succeeds or it fails. In either case, that yes, both of them, it is he who has done it. He wanted it that way, so it happened. I don't even have a remorse on that. I don't even have a feeling of negative. Like, Swami Ramtirtha, and people threw, when he was walking in the streets of America, people threw tomatoes at him and then stones and all. And then he came home, laughing. And Puran Singh, his friend, asked him that what happened today? Yeah, Ram Bacha. He always used to call himself as Ram Bacha. And you know what? This Ram Tirtha was coming from present-day Pakistan, Peshawar. He comes from that. He was a university professor there, mathematics. Young fellow, 34 years. He would say, Ram Bacha. Today, Ram Bacha really enjoyed. What do you mean by Ram Bacha enjoyed? I was watching what happened. That, people are throwing stones at Ram and throwing the tomatoes at Ram. I really enjoyed it. Are you are that Ram? He said, no, I'm Ram Badshah behind it. I'm watching it. He enjoyed everything. And genuinely he enjoyed it, not that he made up his mind. In his literature, you can feel that how he was ecstatically blissful, whatever happens, one way or the other. Finally, his end up happened like that. He went to take bath in Ganges, and then he was talking to Puran Singh, and then suddenly he said, oh, I think crocodile caught me. I'm trying to get rid of him. But then, you know what anybody will think of crocodile means? You panic and all those things. But Ram said, no, I think he is winning. I'm going goodbye. And he went away. And they never found his body or anything. That is finished. Somebody could do that. He could take the death as pleasant as the birth itself. Life and suffering, everything he could take so pleasantly. That was the idea that, in fact, is what Ram Badsha was. So, therefore, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Janaha Paryupasate. That means to say, whatever may be the circumstances, you are doing upasana, you are being with that divinity, you are holding on to the divinity, combat me. This is what is the way, little monkey holding on to the mother monkey. But Ramakrishna used to give another example saying that another way is that the little cat, the kitten, surrenders itself to the mother cat. You know what happens is mother cat catches the little one by the neck in the teeth and then carries from place to place, jumps from wall to wall, jumps down and all that. And you can, if you watch that little kitten, it just sullen, it just dropped everything as if it is dead. You know what is the idea in that is that little this cat, if the hold is little loose, the kitten will be lost. If it is tight around the neck, then the kitten will suffocate. But cat knows how to hold it. This sense of fine feeling that the surrender, that's the sense of feeling, that's what is the surrender. The little cat surrendered to the mother cat. Is it not that way? Look at the way that we have such powerful sun. And we need that sun for our sunlight and then all kinds of things. But look at the way the God provided sun so far away that we get enough of sunlight, enough of rays, and then we can survive. What a beautiful arrangement he has done. If sun says, okay, I love you people on the heaven, on the earth, I'll come a little closer. Where are we? I'll go a little farther away. Let me take rest on a Sunday. Where will we go? So that means he knows exactly. Similarly, the wind. What an amount of wind has to be there. You know that. You go little up on the hill, that you are breathless. Recently, yesterday only, I read one beautiful story. It says that an elderly man, 89 years, in the COVID, and then after the COVID attack, then he was given the oxygen. And at the end of that, he recovered from the oxygen, and then afterwards he was disconnected from the oxygen. And they said that this oxygen, it costed so many lakhs of rupees, something like that. Immediately cried. And he was a wealthy person. He had money. He didn't have any problem to pay. He cried. Then they asked him, why are you crying? He said, because the bill is high and all those things. Said, that's not even the issue. In 10 days or 15 days, when I have taken oxygen because of this COVID, it costed me so much. And in my 90 years of life, God provided me so much of oxygen all the time. And how much I owe to God. I felt that kind of a feeling towards God, how much I owe Him for the simple. And this is one aspect of it is about the breath He has given me. But like that, when you see that how much He has provided, how gently, how safely He provided us, this is what is called as paryupasate, a feeling of being with the divinity and with that idea of respect and your devotion for that. This is what Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Janaha Paryupasate. For them, they feel the God's presence everywhere. Tesham Nityabhyuktanam. For such a person, to those ever united in thought with me, Abhiyuktanam, Nitya Abhiyuktanam. That means to say, they are unified with my thought, they are unified with my idea. Tesham Nitya Abhiyuktanam, Yogakshemam Vahamyaham. I bestow on them the full kshema, security, and personally attend to their needs. Yoga is something which is united with the divinity, and then kshema is that needs for the world. So both these things, yoga, kshema, both these things are given by me. Vaham yaham, what an assurance Krishna gives. That means to say, you continue to work, you continue to do all the activities, what all that you need to do it. But at the same time, you do it with an idea that it is because that you have this body, you have ability, do all those things, that you continue to do it. But finally, it's not that you are providing for yourself. It's He's providing. It is He is doing it. Not an iota of your contribution in this thing, that is for your sake. Even for your well-being, for your sake. It's nothing else but not even an iota of your contribution. It is that way when you look at it. Yoga kshemam vahamyaham. He is providing the yoga, He is providing the kshema aspect of it. Very often what happens is that kshema, yes, He provided all those things we need to have. But yoga, we seem that we need to do it. It is something that we need to do from our side, that about the yoga. Even that He says that you don't have to do it. It's He. Like for example, the way that all the ideas of yoga that has come to you, all the assistance that has come to you, you mean to say that it is you who explored it, who got it? Is it not His choice? Is it not His gift for us? So He is one who is giving that. So therefore, essentially, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. Here, Krishna now brings about the whole, he opens up the whole thing in the form of bhakti. Particularly, when Arjuna is fighting the war, it's not an ordinary situation, but a war area. And he is getting into the war. And war is a case where absolutely there is no guarantee of anything. There's no guarantee of anything. So many people, so many ways that is there. All those things, whichever that is there, all that is supposed to be uncertain. And in that uncertain, Krishna now assures him, whether one way or the other, success or failure, or whether you win the war or lose, your people will be killed or they are alive. Anything that happens, it's nothing but it's both for the yoga and kshema. If God wanted that dharma to be established, it will get established. And we become like a small little pawn in the whole process that we are doing it. So with that idea that Krishna gives Arjuna, this idea of bhakti aspect of it, surrender aspect of it, on such a big activity like war, ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaha paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham eyapi anya devataha bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajantya vidhipurvakam. Arjuna, even those devotees who endowed with faith, bhaktya yajante shraddhayanvitaha, who endowed with this shraddha, worship other gods with some other motive, and they worship me alone. It's all reaching me alone, though with a mistaken approach. So, what happens is that finally it is the yoga kshema, that's what is I'm taking care of. Whether you are alive or dead, it's all because of the divine will that's happening. But in spite of it, there are people who look for some benefits by some god, some grace from some particular idea, avoiding something and then going for something. Because the simple reason is that we can't come out of it. That's how this world trains us. This whole education, the whole system that is there. From morning to night, what we have is that we would like to see that, like for example, on the road, there are thorns are there, and there's a place where there are no thorns. We try to go where the place without the thorns that is there. You choose that. Nobody wants to walk on the thorns willingly. Then you choose it. That means, say, locally that you always choose for something which is right, something which is good, something which is honest. We expect also in the world outside people to be honest, people to this. All those things we do it. Even that way, when people seek the divine intervention and all such things, it's me only that is doing. That's what it says, that even those devotees who endowed with all that what is required is the Shraddha. These are the two aspects that is there. One is the surrender, which is the main aspect. Second thing is the Shraddha. And that's what is the respect for that and devotion for that. With this, there may be motives locally that we may have motives. And with that, those who worship all the other gods, any other god that you think of, is nothing but worshipping me alone. Though with a narrowed approach. Why it happens like that is our senses narrow down right wrong. So mind has a idea of separating these things out, and that's why basically within the mind level, yes, with a lot of activities we do at the mind level. Very simple thing. Somebody near and dear is in the nursing home and going through some surgery. Don't we sit down and say Mrityunjaya mantra with an idea that the person really recovers? Whatever might happen, but then our prayers have to be sincere. It may be for local purpose, but that we do it. Ultimately, what we should say, it is not that our prayers which is brought about, but it is that grace of only one thing, that's only one God. There's only one higher purpose that is there. It takes care of it. And it is that which is responsible for all these things that are there. So, this is the way that Krishna gives us an assurance. This assurance is considered as the highest of the assurances that in Bhagavad Gita. That's one of the reasons why this mantra, Ananyaschantayanto Mam, you see that most of the rituals that we follow, yajnas and yagas, always they sing this particular sutra, Ananyaschantayanto Mam, ye janah paryupasate, Tesham Nityabhyuktanam Yogakshemam Vahamiham. Let's try to remember that. Let's try to follow that. With that, let's go to the next week. Maybe I think in one class or two classes, we'll be completing the 9th chapter of Gita. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Very nice.
you.
Thank you, sir.